The content shared on the Rachel and Miller Real Estate Podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we draw from real-world experience as licensed real estate professionals, nothing discussed on this podcast should be considered legal, financial, or investment advice. Always consult directly with a qualified real estate agent, attorney, CPA, or other licensed professional for advice specific to your situation. Any views or opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts or affiliated organizations. Real estate markets can change quickly, so while we do our best to keep information current, we make no guarantees of accuracy, completeness, or future applicability. Listener discretion is advised, especially if you're prone to spontaneous real estate inspiration. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, we're just two pros having real talk about the business we love.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Miller.
How's everything?
Things are good. Things are cooking. It's warm outside.
It. Yes, I would agree with that. I haven't tried frying eggs yet on my front porch, but I'm really thinking about it. So, hey guys, welcome back to the Rachel Miller Podcast, the only real estate show where facts meet fun. Usually, and sometimes
the only show where that happens.
And we may even, game over. Yeah, that's fun. We're done. Game over. And we sometimes even like to roast overpriced listings. Not very often, but sometimes. I am Miller, Scott Miller. Somebody on this podcast calls me Miller, so that's where I'm staying. I'm holding it down up here in Ridgecrest. That's your cue.
I know. I was just making you wait.
Thanks.
I'm Rachel. I'm in Thousand Oaks, and my market is basically throughout Ventura County, Conejo Valley.
And overpriced lattes and oat milk.
That is so true, but I don't care. I live off of lattes. Lattes has all the food groups.
I heard someplace, and I'd have to go back and look at it, but like the 12-ounce latte at Starbucks is equal to like 11 gallons of gas.
Yeah, I don't get my lattes at Starbucks.
Oh, you get them at what's that other place? The Beans. No, I don't remember what it's called.
We not to go off topic too much. We've got a lot of other options around our towns these days. We have some pretty good high-end coffee places. So, $9 latte, you're getting off easy.
Well, again, you now you got me off topic here.
Place out here where you can get their smoothies are literally like $35.
Yeah, no, not my smoothie. I think I have some frozen strawberries in there. I'm gonna go grab and make myself a smoothie. It's funny, is Ridgecrest, we're a town of about 30,000 people, and as I'm sitting here, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have 6 Starbucks, maybe 5. I think we have five Starbucks, and I want to say, I think we have 6 or 7 other coffee shops in town. Could be more.
No shortage of coffee shops, that's for sure.
No, and keep in mind, we're a military town, so what fuels the military except coffee? So we hinted at this last week in our podcast about pricing. Pricing is the key, and people say in real estate it's location. It is. It's also pricing. Is if your home appears to be overpriced, it probably is. My rule of thumb, but my rule of thumb is if I'm not getting any traction in 5 to 7 days, it's time for a price adjustment because I can't pick up the house and move it. And some people say, well, isn't that risky? No, because as the homeowner, you still own the house and you can change anything you want. I'm trying to think. I kind of lost my train of thought. But if you put your home or property below market value, it's going to catch the attention of people. A buddy of mine in San Diego had a home down there for 1.2, and had it for 3 months, and had like 2 listing appointments. They took it off the market, put it back on the market at I think it was 1.82 or something like that, and they ended up selling it for 1.3. It's a perception, like, oh, I can get it for this deal. They had multiple offers.
Oh, so they went up. They went up.
No, they dropped it. They dropped it down, and then they ended up being above asking because they had multiple people looking at it at that point. It comes down to the algorithm.
I was following your numbers.
My numbers were probably wrong.
Because you said 8.2 and then 8.1. Excuse me, 1.2, and then I think you said 1.8.
Oh, yeah, it was.
It doesn't matter, but so they dropped the number, and then numbers came in above the original asking. They
did, and he sold it for over asking, the original asking, as it's all about the algorithm. And we all know the algorithm
is going to be the issue that we might run into. That takes us back to a podcast we did a couple of weeks ago talking about interest rates versus housing prices. Right. Because you got to watch out also if you drop to, as a buyer, if you're waiting to buy and you're waiting for housing prices to drop. And I know I'm digressing a little bit, but you're going to end up in a situation like that where you're getting some more bids coming in, and then that pushes the price of the house back up. In your story, that's what you wanted. That was advantageous because that was what was best for the seller. But it's something as a buyer that you kind of want to watch out for.
It is. And actually, or even watch for it, is if the house has been on the market for, say, 90 days, and they're like, oh, maybe we can get some traction on that. And then you see the price go down. Oh, wait, let's go talk about that now. Let's face it, a lot of people are using the Zillows and the realtors.coms of the world. So if someone types in they're looking for a house at 1.5, they're going to miss everything from 1.5 and below if they're going 1.5 to 3.8. That's why if I ever use Zillow or Realtor, I want to see everything. As realtors are not perfect, although, I'm not going to go there. A realtor may have put the house in wrong. So when I'm searching, I go from, say, $100,000 up to $3 million in my neck of the woods, just to see what's going to populate, and checking how it's being put in, and then verifying it. It comes down to market psychology 101. Buyers are weird. No offense, buyers, but I'm weird too, so we're good. Buyers are emotional creatures. They're competitive. They're easily influenced and terrified of missing out. We call that FOMO. Even like the iPhones for $9.99. It's basically $1,000, but that $1 makes it seem like we're getting a deal. It's not $1,000; it's $9.99.
Right. The perception of price.
It's all about perception of price. People. Look at Black Friday. People line up for hours for the 50% off the TV. They create urgency and they line up for the house too. So it's about pricing. And I think I've said this like 5 times, is you can list your home below market value. And I'm going to use Ridgecrest. So say I have a house up here that should sell for $250, and I put it for $139 or $239 rather. I may get 5 or 6 offers. However, I'm going to get eyes on it, and that's what I need. I need someone to see the house. I'm working last week or 2 weeks ago. I was working on a house where I wasn't getting any traction at all, none, 0, and we ended up doing a drastic price reduction, and we ended up doing send me your best and final to the agents. And what that means is the agent has to go back to their customer and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, the house over there on Warner Brothers Street, we are in the running, and there's 4 other people that are competing with it. And I don't want to call it a bidding war, because it's not a bidding war. It's, if you like the house, let's see if we can get it. You just give me your best and final, and it eliminates the game. The game is, write an offer, you don't like it, you send it back. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and things start getting lost. It's just no bueno. That's all the Spanish I know.
How do you feel, Miller, about putting in a offer deadline on top of a price reduction? Or maybe even not about a price reduction, just in general, an offer deadline.
Me personally, I don't like them.
You don't like them?
I don't like them. I can see why they're done down there in Los Angeles, and it makes sense to me in LA. I've had 2 agents up here do offer deadlines to me, and I caught it. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean by 2:00 tomorrow? My customer's in Argentina. It does create the urgency. And when I talk to my buyer, it's like, hey, Mr. Buyer, these folks want an answer by 2:00 Pacific. That's in an hour. What's your answer, yay or nay? I don't like being put in that position. However, it can be effective, especially if the seller really wants to sell their house.
There might be other reasons other than just driving an offer to have an offer deadline, especially if it's a house that, like I remember last summer we had my team, we had a house on the market. It was an amazing house. It was priced really well. It was in a very desirable neighborhood. We knew it was going to be, we had an open house with hundreds of people in it over the weekend. We knew there were going to be a lot of offers in, so we needed to create a deadline to cut off the offers because we knew that tons of offers were going to come in.
And yes, I think that is very valuable, especially in the LA market where you have more than 30,000 people looking at houses. I haven't looked at LA lately. If it's anything like up here, I wouldn't necessarily
say I'm in the LA market, but I understand what you're saying.
Everything south of me is the LA market.
Fair enough.
Especially in, I'm going to say, a higher population density, where we have 30,000 people here in Ridgecrest, and it's growing every year. And like I said, I don't like it up here. Up here, it bugs me. But I can absolutely, like with what you just said about last summer at a showing, is when you have, I have 4 offers, and I'm like, oh, I got to look through all these and make sure I got them all right.
20 offers? I mean, I'm not saying that home has gotten 20 offers, but I know in the past we've had people on our team that have gotten multiple offers, and you have to create a whole grid spreadsheet to present to your clients so that they understand all the offers coming in.
Yeah, and that absolutely. It's funny you said that. That's what I did last night with the 4 offers that I had. Is I created a grid. This is a cash only. This is contingent. And my seller's like, which one do I choose? I can give you an opinion. However, it's an opinion, and I really need you to look at this to see which one sounds the best to you.
Right.
So I'm not going to give you my opinion until after you and I go through this together. Is we, as an agent, and you'll agree with me, is we're not going to force anything down anybody. It's like, hey, this is what you're going to do. We're here to coach, guide, and lead and direct. But the final price that you're going to sell your house for is up to the seller. And that kind of goes back, it goes straight back to the pricing strategy. And prices, home, can't even say it now. Homes priced, say, 3 to 10% below the market get 30% more showings the first week. And if you price it above the market price, you're probably not going to get any. I have a property right now that it's a beautiful property, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Is it 1,600 square feet? It's a great property. It's the right price. However, I'm not getting a lot of traction on it. Is people think, oh, it should be a little bit less. It's still a beautiful house, And I agree with the seller. It's the right price for the house, as it's almost on a quarter acre. It's in a great location. However, if we want to sell it, we may have to do a price reduction.
And at the end of the day, well, not at the end of the day, but part of the day is having an evaluation of the home. So there's that. If a home is priced too high, what happens next when you have somebody coming in to do an evaluation of the home?
That's absolutely a true story. When you're talking about doing I just totally lost my train of thought. Appraisal. There we go. Appraisal. Whew.
I'm sure there's an acronym for that, Miller.
I could go. I should go. Yeah. APRZ. AL. Appraisal. Yeah.
Appraisal.
That's the new. That's our abbreviation.
You get your appraisal, and that's going to help kind of stabilize the market as well. Because if a house is worth 1.2 and you want to sell it for 1.6, and if a bank is involved, an appraiser is going to come in and say, can't really do that, right? Am I wrong?
Well, yes and no. If the selling agent is able to prove / document how they came up with that price, and they can demonstrate that to the appraiser could say, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I didn't have this information. And that appraiser can say, okay, yes, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
I mean, there's a property that I close on next week that I would have bet a Thousand Oaks coffee or two that the house was not going to appraise for what it did. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, 1,200 square foot with its own pool in an HOA.
But condo with its own pool?
With its own pool, and talk about a unicorn. That was a unicorn.
That sounds really cool.
It's a beautiful place.
So it had a pool in its own little backyard?
And it's a big backyard, but yes.
Interesting.
And they listed it for $300,000, and I'm like, no, ain't no way. I spent hours doing CMAs on that.
What are CMAs?
Almost said certified. It's a comparative market analysis.
There it is.
And I spent hours doing it, and I could not come up with that number. I asked the agent 4 times, like, where did you come up with this number? She's like, oh, well, the house over on Knight Street. I'm like, that was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath condo. This is a 2-bath, 1-bath condo. The most I could see on it was like 212, 218. It was the most I could see. And I was like, I don't understand how this is going to happen. Well, when the appraiser came, the agent was able to demonstrate where she got those numbers. And guess what? It appraised for $300,000.
Good for her.
I was like, okay, I'm wrong. I admit it. I'm wrong. But I mean, that's one of the nice things about different agents is everybody has their own ideals and ideas. I would not have priced that house at $300,000. And you know what? That seller did a great job. And so did that agent. Like I said, there was no way. It did. And my buyer is a happy camper. It's exactly what they wanted. They called me at 5:00 in the afternoon and said, hey, I want to see this house. Okay. So I moved some things around, went over and showed them the house. They're like, we love it. I'm like, okay, let's write the offer. Wrote the offer, and I wrote it for what I thought it should be. And they countered, and my buyer said, no, well, it's fine. We'll go with that. I'm like, okay, done. It closes next week.
Congratulations. They got a cute little condo with their own little pool. That sounds awesome.
It's an adorable pool. It's deep, too. I think it's like, I want to say it's 8 or 10 feet deep. And it has a backyard barbecue, and it's a pretty cool place. I like it a lot.
I want you to send me pictures of it.
I will, absolutely. It just comes back to, what does your buyer want? What can your buyer afford? What is your seller looking to do? And where is the communication? And how is the communication? Houses that are priced below market value, they're typically going to see up to 58% more likely to have more showings if they're priced below market value. and homes will sell 10 to 15 days faster. You know, when
I think the trick is getting sellers to understand, because oftentimes, and you spoke about how, how buyers and sellers, we're a lot of what we do, everything what we do is based on emotions. I know when we were in the midst of selling my home that we had in Simi Valley, we were in a position where we had to sell and we had to move. Part of me wanted to, and part of me wanted to stay. We had done a lot of work on the home.
Which part? The part that's going to kick me in the shins, right?
We did a lot of work on the house. It's the house that our daughter knew, and I wanted to stay, but I also knew it was time to go. And this was, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. And so when people were coming through to look at my house as the seller, even though a seller, you'd think this is a good thing, I felt really invaded. I didn't like it. I didn't like the process of people coming into my home and looking at my home and looking to buy it. I was very resentful of it. And that can be very possible for, for a seller or a buyer, that they're in a position they don't necessarily want to be in. So I was not nice. I wasn't nice about it.
Rachel,
I was like a troll with my broom. Go away.
Were you at the house when they were showing it?
There was a time, I think there was one time where I was home and the agent came and brought somebody to walk through the house when I was home because they wanted to see it.
And they still have a broom in the back of their head.
A broom shoved right up their keister. No, but it was a very emotional thing. Moving can be a very emotional thing. And positive emotions, negative emotions, all of it. And so, as an agent, we have to be very cognizant of how our clients or the other agent's client is feeling.
That's absolutely true. And I just want to touch on something with that. When it comes to pricing and your home, homes that are empty sell much faster rather than homes that are occupied. And it goes back to what you just said a second ago. The seller, it's very stressful. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I need you to leave for half an hour while I show your house.
Get up that house. Get it clean.
Right. Oh, I got to do it right now. I got to use that voice too. But it's stressful for everybody. It's uncomfortable for the agents, and it's uncomfortable for the people. And I'm the first to say, I get it. It may be a challenge to support two houses at the same time. I get that, especially if your home's not moving. Going back to pricing, if you price a home at $399 instead of $405, you end up popping into more buyer searches. It's an algorithm hack. So when you do the $199 or the $399 instead of $405, it goes back to the algorithms. It's sprinkling a little of offer, and like what you just said. So let's put the house at $399 instead of $405, and then put in an offer deadline. It's a good thing. Cue the bidding war. And it's funny is I missed the bidding war that happened 4 years ago. I came in just at the tail end of it. I was like, wow, people were just selling houses like they were going out of style. It's real.
That's a lot of work for your agent, for the seller's agent, to have a lot of bids coming in, a lot of offers coming in.
It really is. You're like, okay, did I get everything on here?
A lot of work.
I thankfully have a great team that I can send it over to one of my partners in crime and say, hey, that's wrong word to say, one of my partners in real estate, and say, hey, can you make sure I didn't miss anything? Is we all see things through different pair of glasses, and making sure that you didn't miss anything, doing your due diligence, checking your pricing, doing your CMAs, and communicating to your customers saying, this is what I think. And the customer may come back and say, nope, I want to list it for $750,000. On that same note, I just thought about this. I have one of my agents here in Ridgecrest was working with a property, and she did the CMAs, I did the CMAs, and we were sitting around 300 and the seller was sitting around 500. And she was not budging off that number.
Wow.
At that point, the agent has to make a decision. Do you want to be the laughing stock? You want
Yes,
Rachel
yes.
Miller to make fun of you on the podcast? So my agent said, hey, I think you're an awesome person. However, I am not going to be able to do your listing. I can't support the price point you want to do. And
Right.
she turned it down. And I would say from personal experience, that's a really hard cookie to chomp into, saying no to a listing. But it's the right thing to do. Is if when you're listing a house or even buying the house, if you know something's wrong with it, A, you have to disclose it. And B, if you're listing the house and the seller wants to sell it at $100,000 over what it should be, you need to make a decision if you want to be a part of that or not.
100%.
And
well, Miller,
is it really almost 30 minutes?
Mark.
No way. I think we should extend it now to like.
I know, because you and I think we're so interesting.
Right. Well, we are to ourselves, but yeah.
So
well, by the
next week you are off to Tennessee. Where was it? Kentucky?
I am currently in Tennessee.
No. Okay, whatever.
I am currently in Tennessee when I'm doing this.
You're currently in Tennessee. Okay, I'm currently in San Luis Obispo.
See, that's how we roll. Because
that works.
Right? Because we're magical, and you can't tell.
I'm currently in Hawaii.
Wait, what happened to San Luis Obispo? Bella is not going to be happy with you.
If she's with me in Hawaii, she'll be just fine.
Well, true, but she's not. She's still up there in northern coast.
Slow.
Yes. Slow. So one last thing: look at days on market on houses, and you may find I'm going to use a word that I cannot stand because AI uses it often. You may find a gem. Looking at the days, I can't even use that word. You may find an amazing opportunity with days on market. Look to see it. You could look to see how many days are on the market.
What about for sale by owner?
FSBOs. Those are I love FSBOs.
I know you do, but what about like as a buyer looking for sale by owner who is the owner of a home is selling without an agent? How do you think that's a good idea for a buyer? What if the buyer has an agent? What if the buyer has an agent with a buyer broker contract and the buyer wants to buy from a for sale by owner where there is no cooperation? Let's save that for next time because we literally have 10 seconds left, but that's a good one.
I want to answer that though, but okay, fine. Till next time.
Okay.
Anyway, you know what we haven't done is, Rachel, how can people reach you?
A piece of yarn and a tin can.
Hello, Rachel. Or you can even.
My email is 22 rachelmarino@gmail.com. The number 22 rachelmarino@gmail.com. My website, our website is gratishomes.com. Good Lord, I said it right.
You did. And in case you haven't figured it out, Rachel and I do work for two completely different brokerages. I am at Epic Realty, and you can find me at sellingkern.com, or you can use a tin can or this cool thing called a cell phone, and you can text me at 760-264-3501. And with that, I'm going to play our cool music. Maybe. I'm going to play our cool music. Look at that. And then
it's really cheesy.
You love that music, I can tell. You love it. And then
we'll work on it.
And then somewhere in here I have assets that I can say thank you and say welcome. Okay, look, I'm gonna say thank you. Rachel, as always, it's a pleasure. We will talk very soon.
Nice guy.
open hearts on